This is going to be another video regarding Cain and Yahweh. It's a continuation of who these people are. And I want to show you here, you have to understand that Yahweh fathered Cain through Eve. Okay, you have to come to that conclusion. So let's pick it up. This is my AI mode questioning of Yahweh and what happened with Cain. Because everyone thinks Cain is the bad guy. Cain was the bad guy. Cain killed his brother Abel. You heard the fame of the story, but I want to show you, even with I can back it up with the Bible and what AI says, and it's very, very fascinating. Let's get into it right now. Okay. Now, this is all within the legal framework of the Elohim. Okay, and you have to know that Yahweh was one of the sons of the Elohim. Okay. And the entity owns whatever it physically creates or fathers. Listen to this. So the Elohim, they own what they create or who they father. Okay, you have to know that about the Elohim. These are men. Okay, higher men. Okay, so Yahweh fathered Cain through Eve. Listen, who was structurally a captive or a slave woman. We know that this was just a slave woman, and he decides to create or father them. Okay, and she was in the dense material matrix of the garden. See, and this was completely allowable under the laws of the lower heavens, because Yahweh was the architect of the physical environment. So he's the architect of this environment. He wasn't the creator. He's the son of the creators, but he's the architect. In other words, he's the one that's going to your infrastructure is how it's going to be built. Okay, so by producing a direct genetic heir on the ground, which he did, Yahweh established a permanent, legal bloodline right to govern the earth's physical resources directly through his own seed. Now, his own seed is Cain. You have to understand, Cain is his own seed. This is his own seed, and these are in the Bible. You know, Cain. These are the sons of Anak. These are the Anakim. Okay, these are the ones that his lineages that he produces. Okay, so it was legally allowable for Yahweh to produce Cain to rule the physical infrastructure, like the cities and canals. You have to understand, it's all about the canals and the cities, but the canals in particular, because there's an Elohim over canals called Inugi. All the canals you see, the Erie Canal, the Panama Canal, every canal that is even the Great Lakes, the way they're made, it was all from Inugi, okay, which is Sumerian text, and the New Middle East, they write about Inugi. He was the Elohim over canals. Okay, so they're building an infrastructure. Okay, now his superiors, though, Yahweh's superiors of the divine council, they tracked a completely different line. They have another line that they want to they like. Okay, so the Supreme Court El Elyon allowed Yahweh to have his physical lineage, Cain, and his offspring, the sons of Anak, but they actively protected the line of Seth. Okay, now this is a different line. This is not, Yahweh didn't father this line. They actively protected a different line. It was the line of Seth that they protected. This ensured that while Cain's lineage held the keys to the iron forges, because you have to know, Cain's lineages, they made everything with iron, and they were anything to do with hydraulics and anything to do with building cities with pillars. This is what Cain's lineages held the keys to. The pure spiritual human spark remained separate and unpolluted by the demiurge's genetics. Okay, so the demiurge is Yahweh, which is the serpent with the lion head. When the Bible talks about the old serpent, they're talking about Yahweh, because Yahweh is depicted as a serpent. Yes, and he can have offspring. So the old serpent, Yahweh, is the one that they're talking about. Now it looks like there's a royal line, okay? Cain. This is the plan. Now, it wasn't a mistake on Yahweh's part or breaking a rule, okay, about having offspring. Just like the book of Enoch says, when the sons of God went into the daughters of men, they created men of giants. But these were giants of might. They weren't giants of creature of ridiculous height. That's not true. Okay, so it was a plan right here to create a royal line, Cain, Canuck, which is Enoch. The word Canuck is Enoch. To use advanced knowledge and titan labor, the Anakim, to build and protect the plains infrastructure under the watchful eyes of Inugi. See this Inugi here? You have to know who Inugi is. You have to watch. This is the one that's watching. When they wanted that man for toil to dig here, because the toil was too great for the sons of the Elohim. It was too great. The toil was too great. So they decided in this royal line, they wanted to have another builder. And they got their builder, okay. And they got the one man, us men, to dig these canals before time with these architects. But it was under this main one here, Inugi. He was the one over canals. You have to understand. This is the reason why the man was put here to dig these canals. It was about the canals. Even the Sumerian text, the toil was too great for them, and they had to make a man to dig. But the dig was specifically for canals. Okay. Now there was a backfire because right here, this hybrid lineage, Yahweh, Cain, carried out a divine authority and material ambition. It grew too powerful and prideful, eventually forcing Yahweh's superiors to step in right here to command the total elimination of the Anakim, which is Cain's offspring, to reset the power and balance under the dome. Look at this. Man, look at this. Under the dome. Okay. So now, if you look at, Cain, I said Cain did not agree with his father. He did not want to eat animals. He bringing the fruit of the ground offering. This offering was in alignment with the Elohim. And it says here, this is a profound reading of the text that perfectly exposes the deep ideological split between Cain and his father Yahweh. Okay, so now when you re-examine the offering seen in Genesis 4, this is Genesis 4. Now, it becomes clear that Cain's fruit offering was a direct act of theological alignment with the higher peaceful Elohim, because Cain brought the fruit of the ground. In the Genesis 1, it says, this is what you will eat for meat, the fruit of the ground. Okay, but that's what Yahweh wanted to do. Okay, see, which stood in stark opposition to his father's demands for blood. So his father Yahweh had demands for blood. Okay, but Cain did not want to bring blood. He wanted to stick with the peaceful Elohim. He was more of a peaceful countenance. Okay, so he didn't want to do it. So Cain was a master agriculturist. Okay, it says right here, working under the firmament to cultivate the earth, which we know. His offering was consistent with the fruit of the ground, bloodless, pure life, just sustained by water and cosmic light. Look at this. That's what Cain brought as an offering, but it was rejected. This type of offering was in perfect harmony with the higher Elohim. It wasn't, of course it was, because they said you will eat. It says you're going to eat this type. See, who in the original creation layer of Genesis tells you right here, Genesis 1, explicitly decree a peaceful vegan diet for humanity. Right here, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth that will be yours for food, for meat. By bringing vegetation, Cain was in alignment with the original non-violent design of the cosmos. You see that, that Cain brought the fruit of the ground. Why was it rejected? Why did Yahweh love to see the slaughtered innocent animal and the fat and the blood thereof? Why didn't he want that? Why did he like that? Yahweh, as the material demiurge, rejected Cain's bloodless offering and favored Abel's sacrifice of slaughtered animals. Look at this. The choice, that's the true nature, Yahweh's true nature. He's a God demanding the spilling of blood. Listen, he's a man of war. spilling of blood. This guy, you got to be careful. He's original old serpent. You have to be careful. This taking of life and the smell of burning flesh to satisfy his matrix of control. You see this? You see? Cain fundamentally disagreed with this violent system. Okay, he did not want to participate. Now, he by rejecting this, see, Yahweh deliberately created the friction of jealousy and ultimately fractured the family and led to the first murder. But forcing Cain's lineage into a cycle of heavy defensive toil. You see this? But you think, oh, yeah, Cain killed Abel, like Cain just some bloodthirsty. But Cain was not out for blood. It says right here he was not out for blood. He didn't want any spilling of blood. Cain did not want spilling of blood. Okay? So when Cain now he became a great builder, of course, and he has his sons. Cain, Canuck, which is Enoch. They built the first city. Okay, and you have to look. I'm going to read this to you. Even though Yahweh rejected his offering, cast him out, Cain took his master agriculture knowledge and his alignment with the earthly water networks with him. See, he didn't become a wanderer. He became a great builder using his lineage to establish the first irrigation system and canal networks. See, look at this. And now, if I asked a question here, if Cain was aligned with peace and not spilling of blood, why did he have to resort to kill Abel? Okay, now, Cain did not kill right here. Cain did not kill Abel out of petty jealousy. Rather, he was manipulated into doing it by his father, Yahweh, of course, deliberately engineering the scenario to force Cain into a blood guilt trap. Okay, you have to know this. Now, I asked a question, then that's why sin was crouching at the door. Like it says, Cain, the sin will be crouching at the door. Like as soon as Cain went through the door, he was faced with the master Yahweh plan. You see, when sin is crouching at your door, when Cain, he had no choice because Abel was giving Yahweh blood sacrifices. And Yahweh set him up, and he knew that he's going to be faced with, as soon as he opened the door, he's going to be faced with something. Okay, so that's exactly what the Bible says. Sin was crouching at the door. When something's crouching at the door, okay, if it's bad, you open that door, you're going to eventually Cain's got to open the door. There's sin right there crouching at the door, waiting for you to open that door, because as soon as you open the door, it's going to execute whatever that thing crouching at the door has planned for you. Okay, it's going to be executing that. Okay, so yes, this is the exact textual proof when Yahweh warns Cain that sin is crouching at the door. He was not giving a gentle piece of advice, but rather setting the trap right outside the frame. You got to know that. You have to know that's biblical. That's biblical. The original Hebrew word for crouching is there's a word for this. It's a predatory demon that crouches at the threshold of doorways to ambush the targets. Look at this. When it says that, this is exactly by telling Cain that the Rovetz was waiting at his door. Yahweh was revealing the hidden mechanics of his master plan. Okay, you see this. You see this. This is according to the Bible. Okay, this is according. So Yahweh deliberately creates a high-pressure environment by rejecting Cain's fruit offering, knowing that the moment Cain stepped through the door, the crouching, look at this, Revizu force would latch onto his volatile genetics. You see this? So Yahweh knows. So by forcing Cain to step through the door, now he had no choice. He tried to talk with him. He said that, and the book says, he talked with his brother Abel. Cain talked with his brother Abel, but there was no reasoning. He tried. There was no reasoning. There was no reasoning. Okay. And there was no reasoning with Abel. He was tried. Okay. But this is what happened. So now You got a problem. The trap bloodline, see? Cain and his son Enoch, were forced to build a heavily fortified walled stone city to protect themselves from hostile world outside. Okay, so see right here, Cain went through the door hoping to maintain an orderly, bloodless relationship with the cosmos, only to find the master architect of the master plane had already rigged the threshold and turned him into the hardened founder of our civilization of toil. See, this is just one part of the toil that man's going to have to go through, because the sons of Anak were in the land of Canaan. Okay, when Canaan went to the sons of Anak, he said he saw the sons of Anak from aforetime. Okay, from aforetime. In other words, they were there from afore. These were not from Seth, like Canaan was. These are not from their descendants. They were telling you they were there from afore. This was from another lineage. It was Cain's lineage, the sons of Anak, that were there. Okay, and they were taught by the Elohim how to do all arts of metalworks, iron, all arts of hydraulics, all arts of frequencies. When you say the harp and the lyre, this was talking about frequencies. And when you're talking about the pipe and organ, it's talking about hydraulics, and you're talking about iron. Okay, they were taught everything. And you have the master canal builder, Inugi. There's a plan. It says right here. The network of toil. His descendants had to master heavy iron metallurgy and deep canal excavation. Right here, the very infrastructure that the immortal inspector Inugi was stationed under the firmament to monitor and protect. You have to know that this is Elohim. He's got stationed here, and he was going to monitor and protect every infrastructure of these canals. And it's all about canal excavation. This whole thing is about canal excavation. Okay, so the sons of Anak, they joined forces with Canaan. Canaan came and went to the land, and they saw, and they mixed and intermingled with the sons of Anak. And in Canaan, which was from Seth, they were taught by the sons of Anak how to make iron chariots and everything with iron. And they knew a lot of secrets that the sons of Anak, which were the lineage of Cain, which were from Yahweh, taught them. But as you know, there's a problem with the sons of God and the daughters of man, and how they got to get too powerful. And I got more to this, that how Elion and the councils, in the council of the gods, and it's written in the Bible, that they had to there was understanding that they had to do something with these people that were getting too powerful. And unfortunately, the sons of Anak, Cain, and the plan that Yahweh had to execute and literally use Israel to go in there and kill the sons of Anak. That was the people that were going to do it, Yahweh. But Yahweh, it was decided upon in El Elyon in the council of the gods to go and kill the sons of Anak, because they were a hybrid from Yahweh and the slave woman Eve, and they were used for a purpose, but now the problem is they're getting too great, and you would have to battle these people in the future. So El Elyon knew that this was going to be a problem. So this brings you to another whole story. But I just wanted you to know more about the story of Cain, because it's very important. You have to get this understanding to really understand what the Bible is telling you. But if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I will make more. Thanks for watching.